Hi, this is Michael Orrell from MobileBurn.com, and I have with me today the Nokia 6790 Surge, a new device built for AT&T by Nokia. This is a sideways sliding QWERTY phone, as you can see. It's a S60 3rd edition Feature Pack 2 smartphone. Has a 2 megapixel camera as opposed to the 6760 Slide's 3.2 megapixel camera. It's the version that's sold in Europe. Take a look at the basic design. You can see the device is for the most part meant to be held horizontally. The logo suggests that D-pad and everything works out just fine because the soft keys line up with labels that are on the right edge of the screen. When you slide the device open, you get a full QWERTY keyboard. It's a little bit unconventional looking, but I find that it works quite well. This very large key here is the Alt key for symbols and numbers, and it's excessively large for some reason. Compared to the shift keys, but in general I think the keyboard has a very nice feel and everything seems to be laid out quite well. 4 rows of course, so things aren't messed up by the space bar, which is very large indeed. You'll notice 3 dedicated keys right here: web browser, the S60 menu key, and messaging key. The normal control cluster, it's a D-pad here surrounded by call send and call end buttons and the 2 soft keys. The D-pad itself is very small. It creaks a lot. It's just very unpleasant to use. It's just a little bit too small, too difficult, too noisy. In general, the device feels kind of cheap overall. There's a lot of creaking going on, mostly from the D-pad and the controls around it, but in general it just doesn't feel like a particularly well-built or valuable device. If we check out the left-hand edge of the phone, you'll see the micro USB port. Up top here we have a kind of a difficult to undo charger port, 2.5 millimeter headphone jack, unfortunately. On the other edge, dedicated button for the camera and the video camera, as well as volume controls. Not much to see on the bottom of the device except for the release latch for the rear cover. The rear of the device is fairly simple. It's just the AT&T logo, the Nokia logo, and the lens for the 2 megapixel camera. It has a nice satiny sheen to it though. It kind of resists fingerprints, and I really appreciate that. The front of the device, however, is glossy and does attract prints. The display on the Surge is a 2.4-inch QVGA unit. It's not bad, not particularly colorful or anything, but it's a reasonable effort. You can see the soft key labels that I mentioned here. They line up with this soft key and this soft key. It makes the display kind of strange looking. The bars don't run all the way across. It's just a bit odd, if you ask me, especially when compared to the conventional look of the device in portrait mode. The default home screen view on the Surge is Nokia's Active Sandbox. You can see you have a horizontal set of icons that you can configure as you like, plus information from calendar and other things like that. Right now it's just showing calendar appointments. If I go into the main menu, and you can notice that you can use the left soft key to go into the menu since the Nokia menu button is a little bit oddly placed. We'll go into settings and the config, general personalization. You can see home screen mode, and there are different themes. There's one called talking theme, which is a fairly conventional looking home screen meant just primarily for people that are making calls. This is it right here. Not much to it. There's speaker independent voice dialing, and there's also voice announcement. It can announce callers as they come in. You just heard message reader right there, just spoke. Of course the display works in both portrait and landscape mode. As I pointed out earlier, you can see that the soft keys match up again. Jump into the main menu once again, and we'll go into the messaging app, although instead of going through that we could use the dedicated key here. Both of these keys, the left key and the right key that straddle the menu key, can be set to whatever the user prefers. In this case it's set by default to messaging. We'll just create a new message here. And we just looked up Peter Griffin. Type something in quickly. Works pretty well. I don't have any real complaints at all for it. Send it off. Now we're done.